There'll be girls across the nation that'll eat this up. Babe, I know that it's your fault, but could you bottle it up? Get down to the heart of it, no, it's my heart.
Hi guys, how's it going? Apple recently had their September event just a few days ago, and this is the event where they usually launch their new lineup of iPads, the Apple Watch Series 7, and of course the new Apple iPhone 13s. The September event is usually where Apple go all out. So they had crazy camera angles, some insanely good cinematic photos and videos, and overall they just went really big during this event. But if you look at the products which they actually launched, and if you look at the improvements that they made during this event, it's actually just a small spec bump in what Apple actually already provides as a whole. So in the big scheme of things, it's just a minor upgrade to their already impressive lineup of tech devices and of course the services that they provide. So in this video we'll just get into the things, like a brief overview of what actually happened this September event, which happened just a few days ago, so that we're better prepared on what Apple is actually going to provide to us in the coming weeks' time. So let's get into it. So they started off with introducing the new baseline iPad. Well, there's nothing actually new on the design front. They definitely did upgrade the internals of it. It now comes with an A13 Bionic chip inside it and a new 12 megapixel ultra-wide selfie camera with center stage in it. It's definitely not a major upgrade, but with 64 GB of base storage, the A13 Bionic, and iPad OS 15, it's definitely going to be the most affordable and most popular iPad out of the entire lineup. Moving on to the iPad mini, however, it's a completely different story. The iPad mini actually got a major design refresh, actually bringing it in line with the other iPads, which is the iPad Pro and the iPad Air. Basically, the iPad mini now looks like a much smaller version of the already very impressive Apple iPad Air. So it comes in 4 colors, has a curved, rounded edge to it, a single camera at the back. It lost the home button and adopted an 8.3-inch display up front with white color, anti-reflective coating, true tone, and 500 nits of brightness. Comes with the new A15 Bionic chip inside it, giving it up to 40% increased CPU performance and up to 80% increased GPU performance from last year's model. It charges via USB-C and also has Apple's Touch ID integrated into the power button on top of it. It starts off at $499 for the baseline version with 64 gigs of storage. Supports the second generation Apple Pencil and has the same wide-angle front-facing camera with center stage as well. It does not, however, come with ProMotion 120Hz refresh rate. It's only got the regular 60Hz panel, so it's something to keep in mind if you're looking at purchasing a new iPad in the coming months. In my opinion, they could have implemented a 120Hz refresh rate, ProMotion refresh rate into the iPad mini, but they didn't for whatever reason, and maybe it's to differentiate the mini from the Pro version of iPads which already has 120Hz. Maybe that's why, but I think it's something to keep in note about, because ProMotion on the iPad is absolutely amazing. It makes a world of a difference, even to those people who don't really use it before. Once they actually try 120Hz, they definitely can't go back to using a regular 60Hz panel. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Alright, so moving on to the Apple Watch. While it did get a redesign, it was definitely a very minor one at that. It still has the same rounded edges with the rotating crown on the side, but now has 40% smaller bezels around the display. Apple also has curved the edges of the glass ever so slightly, making the screen sort of flow over the curves a bit. It has a harder ceramic glass on the front, making it more crack resistant, and also comes with IPX dust resistance now, making it more durable. They made some improvements to watchOS, where now you can type on the watch with swiping gestures on the keyboard. I mean, if you really want to reply with long messages, you can definitely use that feature. The Apple Watch Series 7 starts off at $399 and will be available later this fall. Alright, now we're getting into what everyone's been actually waiting for, the iPhone 13 lineup. So with this event, Apple actually launched the 4 new iPhones, the iPhone 13, the iPhone 13 mini, the iPhone 13 Pro, and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I mean, I'm pretty sure almost everybody in the tech space or in the tech market right now actually saw some pretty accurate renders of all these devices way before it was actually launched in September. But it's good to know that Apple finally confirmed all of our theories and all of our renders. so we can finally get them hands-on and see how it is in a few weeks' time, hopefully. All the new iPhones have a 20% smaller notch compared to the previous models, and the iPhone 13 and 13 mini have the same 6.1-inch and 5.4-inch displays they did last year. Apple also has repositioned the cameras. They now have a diagonal layout instead of the regular vertical setup. And the cameras on the back of the 13 and 13 mini both have bigger sensors with 12 megapixels and larger apertures. And they also have sensor shift image stabilization on the main sensor. This will definitely improve the image stabilization quality on both the cameras. On the front of the devices, they still have the same XDR display and are now able to increase their brightness up to 1200 nits. They both have the latest A15 Bionic chipset inside with a 6-core CPU with 2 high performance and 4 high efficiency cores. The A15 also has a 16-core neural engine, which makes it able to perform 15.8 trillion operations per second, which is really impressive. Apple also introduced a new cinematic mode to automatically blur the background during a video, which allows the subject to stay in focus throughout the shot. During filming, the user can tap on different areas of the screen to change the focus whilst the camera is recording. This can also be done after filming as well, once the camera has stopped recording the footage, which I think is really impressive. The iPhone 13 and 13 mini both got improved battery life thanks to the new chipset with up to 1.5 hours longer battery life in the mini and up to 2.5 hours longer battery life in the iPhone 13 compared to its last year models. If the real world usage improvement is anywhere near these claimed values, it's definitely a major improvement made by Apple. The iPhone 13 and 13 mini comes in 5 new colors. The iPhone 13 and 13 mini starts at $699 for the mini and $799 for the iPhone 13, both of which come with a new baseline storage of 128 gigs, which is double the baseline storage it was last year. Okay, heading into the Pro models. They feature pretty much the same things as the previous iPhone models, but with a better display and cameras. The display is now a Super Retina XDR 120Hz ProMotion display with variable refresh rates from 10Hz all the way up to 120Hz. Both of the Pro models have the same glossy fingerprint magnet stainless steel side rails, which I'm not really a big fan of. They are of course powered by the A15 Bionic chip with a 6-core CPU and 5-core GPU, whereas this version of the chip has 1 extra GPU core compared to the ones found in the iPhone 13 and 13 mini. The introduction of the newer, more efficient processors also claims to significantly improve battery life with the iPhone 13 Pro, being able to last 1.5 hours longer than its predecessor, and the 13 Pro Max being able to last a whole 2.5 hours longer than the previous iPhone 12 Pro Max. The rear cameras of both the phones have a new 77mm telephoto lens, ultra-wide and wide-angle lenses with sensor shift. The iPhone 13 Pro models have 6x optical zoom thanks to a 3x telephoto camera. The ultra-wide now features autofocus and a macro mode that can take close-ups up to 2 cm away from the lens. They all feature the same impressive cinematic mode and night mode for all 3 rear cameras. The 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max can also shoot ProRes at 4K 30 FPS. But something to keep in mind is that you cannot shoot in ProRes at 4K 30 FPS in the baseline models, which is the 128 gigabyte model of both the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max. For whatever reason, Apple has actually blocked this feature in the baseline model. Maybe it's due to a hardware restriction, but whatever it is, Apple has actually restricted it, and maybe we'll get some information on why they did so maybe in the future. So let's see what they say. The Pro is priced at $999 and Pro Max is priced at $1,099 for the same baseline storage of 128 gigs. In case you're actually looking at copying the 1 TB version of a 13 Pro Max, it's actually going to set you back a really cool $1,599, so get ready to cough that up if that's what you're really looking for. All the iPhones are slightly thicker. They all have the same ceramic shield coating and are still IP68 rated. If you already own an iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro Max, it's not an incremental upgrade to the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro Max, but if you're really into Apple products and if you really want to try out the 120Hz refresh rate, maybe you could actually give it a try. Because other than the actual display improvement with 120Hz and slightly improved battery life, Apple hasn't actually made major improvements between last year's model and this year's model, so it's not much of a big gap between the two phones. But yeah, besides that, everything seems to be pretty similar. I mean, Apple has always made the camera improvements, they've also always made the software improvements and the slight battery improvements every year in September like clockwork, and this year is definitely no different. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire event. We'll definitely try to get a few of these in for review, or at least talk about it in some upcoming videos. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned for that if you're looking forward to it. And yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
I was sweating in the summer, thinking fuck it's really coming. I mean something like a number, maybe second might be coming. Every second in the tundra be affecting what we under. When we can't reflect the sun and keep us